Hello, welcome to Closing Day. Closing Day is a show all about real estate. We cover everything in real estate right from the moment you think about buying a piece of real estate all the way through to closing day. We cover all types of topics. My name is Jeff Delgrand. I'm your host tonight. And today we're going to be talking about real estate investing. Everybody wants to know about investing. When's the right time to buy? Should I buy a second property? How many properties should I buy? We're going to get into all that tonight. I personally believe real estate investing is it's like the saying that the best time to plant a tree was 40 years ago. Second best time to plant that tree is now. And real estate investing, I feel, is the same way. With me tonight, I have Carrie Kaufman, who is a corrections officer full-time and a part-time real estate investor. Carrie, thank you very much for coming on the show with me.
Thank you for having me.
So Carrie, I guess the first question is, what made you decide to get into investing in real estate?
Well, Jeff, I've always been interested in real estate. I would say probably 10 or 12 years ago when my oldest daughter went to university in Waterloo.
Yeah.
And after their first year, the second year, they get into the housing market over there. And I went into their house and I was moving her in on the first day over there.
Yeah.
And I start doing the math and I start counting up and going, there's 6 kids in this house. This guy's making a lot of money. And
Yeah.
at that time, I thought, you know what, it's not so much about the money, but I've got 2 other kids following her over to Waterloo.
Oh, right.
So I figured, you know what, this might be something I should try, and see if it's something I like, and it could help them through school. So that is when I approached a couple friends that I work with.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like-minded to myself. They're energetic, and they wanted to get out there and see what they could do in the world. So we got everything together, and we found ourselves a real estate agent.
Yep.
And we went over and we looked around, and lo and behold, we bought our first house. And it was really exciting. We closed our first place, and we put the ad on Kijiji, and within 1 day we had it filled with 5 students.
Oh, really?
So within the next 3 months, we bought 2 more, and that's how it went. We ended up with 4 of them over there in a span of 3 years, and
Yeah.
we ended up selling them after about 4 years. The kids are leaving university or starting to leave university, and there was other issues over there with the city bylaws and stuff they were pushing the landlords and the students out of the subdivisions and trying to get them into those big buildings.
Right.
So
yeah.
at that time, we thought, you know what, let's take our real estate that we have here, let's just move it to Orangeville, which is closer to our houses. And everything we have pretty much is in the Orangeville area now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, something you said earlier on, you put an ad on Kijiji.
Yes.
Like, that's to find a tenant.
That's the only advertising I do is on Kijiji.
Really?
Yeah, I have townhouses. I have townhouses that the tenant would tell me they want to leave in 30 days or 60 days.
Right.
I would put them on Kijiji, and within 4 hours, I would have to take the ad down because I had too many people that want to show up to look at it. Orangeville
Really?
is a very hot area for rental.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there looking for a good quality home. They don't want the dumps and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people that are happy with that, but there are a lot of people that want a good quality home to live in, and they're willing to rent, and that's how they want to live their life. They don't want to purchase.
Yeah.
And it's a service that
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
it
Yeah.
is.
Now, getting back to the student housing, I would imagine it's a little bit like babysitting, right? And not trying to put students down, but
Jeff,
you got
it is
a lot of kids.
like babysitting.
Oh, yeah.
I would say right now, if I have a family in a home, I can
Yeah.
go 6 months without hearing from them. If you have students in a home, you're lucky if you go 6 days without hearing from them.
Oh, really?
I can't tell you the calls I got in the middle of the night. I've locked myself out. I'm drunk. I can't find my keys. And you know what? And they get the same answer that I always gave them: is I'll see you in the morning. So yeah, but yeah, it's student rental. You better be energetic, and definitely it really helps if you live close. I was an hour away from Waterloo, and that was a little too far because the
Yeah.
students do require a lot more attention. And
So would you get like one student some authority maybe to take care of things, or how would you handle that?
generally, one student is the one that approaches the ad, and
Yeah.
that's generally the person that I would be dealing with most of the time. And any issues, I would try to funnel through that one student.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, I had phone calls about, you know, the hydro doesn't work, and I'd show up to the house the next day, and it's a light bulb that doesn't work, you know, and I had to actually show a high school student who was in engineering how to change a light bulb. So it's
How to change a light bulb.
Yeah, students can
Righty
be
tighty, lefty loosey.
students can be very challenging, but you know what? As an investor, it's definitely a higher rental, because you're renting by the room.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah.
you're getting a lot more income in, but it's also a lot more attention, a lot more work involved with students.
All right. So how did you learn? I mean, there's a lot to learn about buying investment properties, how to handle tenants. I mean, how did you learn this stuff? Did you learn it before you got into the investment business? Did you?
A lot of it you learn as you go.
Yeah.
I will say that I was always kind of intrigued by people that had rental properties.
Right,
And
right.
thought, you know, that's kind of a neat thing, because when you get older in life and whatever, maybe you retire, it's nice to have that extra income, or sell it and have some money to be able to make sure you're debt free, at least when you go into retirement. So I basically learned as I went, but when people that had properties, I'd talk to them. I'd question them. You know,
Yeah,
I'd always asking questions. How's it going? What do you do? You know, what's the first step? But it is trial by error, and you do learn some valuable lessons. And I learned a lot of lessons when we purchased our first house.
I bet. So let's say I'm going to purchase my first investment property, and I come to you and say, Kerry, I want to get in the investment market. What do I do? Where should I get started? What would you suggest?
Well, if you're investing by yourself, it's a little differently. I started off with partners.
Right.
My first advice, now later on in my life, my brothers started to get into it, and I started investing with them. But the first lesson I learned the hard way was only put one name on a property, and only put one name on a mortgage.
And why is that?
Well, what happened was with us is there was three of us, and we planned on buying multiple properties. And when we bought our first property, we had a brand new mortgage broker who was just starting out. We might have even been one of his first customers.
Okay, wasn't me.
No, it was not you.
Right.
No, it was not you. I wish you had been in the business at that time, but you weren't.
Yeah.
And he almost insisted that we all have our names on the deed of the house.
Right.
And what we found out later was, when we went to buy our second house, is because all our names were on that deed, all three of us were locked into that total value of the mortgage. So if the value of the mortgage was $300,000,
Yeah.
it wasn't as if I was responsible for $100,000, and my friends were responsible for $100,000. We were all responsible. So it was almost as if we had borrowed $900,000 between us,
Okay,
because
I
all
get
three
that.
of us were
Yeah.
responsible for that $300,000. And when we went to buy our second house, it was kind of like, that's when we kind of went, ooh, I think we made a mistake there. We should have put one name on that.
Yeah.
And then that would have freed up the other two, right? Because what happens is you can get a simple agreement signed between partners, is that the assets of this house and the liabilities of this house,
Like a partnership agreement.
A partnership agreement, exactly, are divided 3 ways or 4 ways or 2 ways, whatever your agreement is with how many people. But if you're going into by yourself, I've always believed that it's important to know what you're getting into,
Yeah.
but it's also important to have a good team around you. I have Chris Luxemburger, he's with iPro, and he's become a friend of mine. We've done a lot of deals together, and
Yeah.
Chris, he knows exactly what I'm looking for. He knows how I like, what kind of money I'm looking at,
Yeah.
in the sense of that when I rent a property, I don't want it to some of it to be coming in my pocket. I need a house to pretty much break even, or it's not something I even want to look at.
Right. Right.
You have been my mortgage broker for a couple of years. You're
Yeah.
part of my team, and Gina Cecchi is she's my lawyer. She's part of my team.
So you
I
wanna have-
consider this a team, and
Yeah.
it's
So you want a good team around
a
you.
very good team. Yeah.
That would make sense. Now
Yeah.
you mentioned something about cash flow. Now, how important is that?
I guess it depends how much you earn in your own life, your own job.
Yeah.
I had 3 children and my wife and I, and so we didn't have a ton of excess money that I wanted to be dumping into properties every month.
Right.
You know,
right.
I didn't mind making the initial payment and getting the property, but after that, I pretty much wanted to cover itself.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something I want to every month have to put $300 or $400 in just to keep it running.
I could see that being important.
Well, especially when you get into numerous properties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are hoping the market will continue to rise, so they'll buy a property that has a negative cash flow, thinking that down the road they'll sell the property for more money and that'll compensate them for their negative cash flow.
But that's more of a speculator than an investor.
Yeah, that's a game I don't know if I
Yeah.
want to get into.
Like I can remember back, you know, when we used to do day trading. You know, when you'd buy a stock and sell it an hour later.
Yeah.
That's all speculating. Yeah, it's you know, I think you should be prepared that if you buy a property and if it was to drop 25% in the next couple of years, is it still valuable? Is it still valuable to you? Can you still make it work? And that's the important thing, because real estate will come back. As we found out, you know, it's not a straight line straight up. It's obviously it has its dips and.
Yeah. I do tell people that want to get into investing that even if the market goes up and down, which it does, it's going to happen inevitably. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. Rents tend to be somewhat stable.
Very stable.
Yeah. So if the market goes down, rents don't go down.
No.
So if you can make sure your cash flow is in a good position where you're not losing money, chances are pretty good you'll always be in a position where you're not going to lose money on that investment.
Very much so. Yes.
Yeah, so that's,
And if you're locked into a 5-year mortgage, other than your taxes maybe going up very slightly, your expenses don't change for 5 years. You know.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
And that's what I tended to do. If I could afford it now, and I can afford it in 5 years from now.
Yeah.
You know.
So if somebody gets into real estate investing, what's your thoughts on whether they should be incorporated or not?
You know, I'm obviously not an expert in that.
Yeah, just as your opinion.
Though
yeah.
I tell my wife I'm an expert in everything. I'm not an expert in that, but when I did look into it at one time, the only thing that I found intriguing about becoming incorporated was the liability part of it. Because once you become that incorporation, the personal liability of anything that might happen on your properties is now a corporate liability.
Right.
So anything that you have in your life is basically guarded, it's protected. That was the only benefit I really found from incorporating.
Okay.
For me personally. The other drawback for that is once you become a business, when you want to purchase another house or another property, you're now getting a business loan. You're not getting a mortgage that 2.19% or whatever the going rate is now. Yeah, you're getting a business loan.
Okay.
And as you would know better than me, they're probably up around 4 or 5%. So
Yeah.
does that make the property even profitable now?
Right.
You know.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to ask you about scary stuff.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.